Have you ever faced a moment when life seemed to hang by a thread? The leg of Quang was once at serious risk of gangrene, and he feared he might never walk normally again. But through hope, determination, and the unwavering support of his mother and Linda, he finally sees the light at the end of the tunnel. Tonight, we dive into a heartwarming journey of recovery, family love, and the bonds that make life worth living. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell. Join us as we explore how love and resilience can transform even the darkest moments. After weeks of uncertainty, endless hospital visits, and nights filled with anxiety, Quang finally received the news he had been silently praying for. His leg was no longer at risk of gangrene. The words echoed in his mind, almost surreal, as if he had stepped into a world where pain and fear no longer had dominion over him. For so long, he had lived under the shadow of uncertainty, haunted by every twinge of discomfort, every swelling, and every sharp pang that reminded him of how fragile life could be. The thought that he might never walk normally again had gnawed at him incessantly, a quiet, relentless companion. And now, hearing that he had a real chance to recover fully, a chance to regain the life he had once taken for granted, an overwhelming sense of relief washed over him. As he sat quietly in his hospital room, staring out the window at the soft afternoon sunlight filtering through the blinds, Quang allowed himself to breathe deeply for the first time in what felt like months. He could feel the weight of worry slowly lifting from his shoulders, like a heavy fog dissipating under the warmth of the sun. He thought back to the countless moments of doubt, the nights lying awake listening to the rhythmic beeping of machines. Each beeped a reminder of the fragile thread upon which his health hung. He remembered the days of physical therapy, the painstakingly slow progress that had sometimes seemed almost cruel in its slowness, and the moments when despair had threatened to take over. Yet, through all of that, he had held on to a quiet hope, a small ember of belief that he would one day step out of the hospital not as a patient, but as a man reclaiming his own life. The doctor's words now felt like a promise, one that he intended to honor with every fiber of his being. Recovery would not be immediate, and there would still be challenges ahead. Painful stretches, careful exercises, and the constant vigilance required to ensure his leg healed properly. But for the first time in what seemed like an eternity, Quang could see a horizon beyond the hospital walls, a future where he could walk without fear, run without hesitation, and embrace life in its fullness. He closed his eyes, imagining himself stepping onto a quiet street in the early morning, feeling the solid ground beneath his feet, the wind brushing against his face, and the simple, profound joy of movement, unrestricted by fear. As these thoughts settled within him, Quang felt an unexpected wave of gratitude. He thought of the people who had stood by him through every setback, every tear, and every anxious night. The doctors and nurses who had treated him with unwavering care, and most importantly, the family who had never left his side. Their support, their encouragement, and their quiet strength had been as vital to his recovery as any medicine or therapy. And in that moment, as he allowed himself to fully embrace the relief and hope, he realized that this victory was not his alone. It was a shared triumph, a testament to resilience, love, and the unwavering bonds that hold people together in their darkest hours. With a slow, steady exhale, Quang opened his eyes, feeling a renewed sense of purpose and determination. Life had given him a second chance, and he was ready to walk forward, not just as a survivor of hardship, but as a man who had rediscovered the beauty of hope, the value of patience, and the strength of the human spirit. The news of Quang's recovery had barely settled in when Linda and his mother decided to celebrate in the way they knew best, through the warmth of a home-cooked family meal. The idea of a simple, cozy gathering filled Quang with unexpected excitement. After weeks of sterile hospital rooms, beeping machines, and the incessant hum of fluorescent lights, the thought of being surrounded by the comforting scents and familiar sounds of home brought a profound sense of relief. Linda had spent the afternoon bustling in the kitchen, her hands skillfully chopping vegetables and arranging ingredients with meticulous care. The aroma of simmering broth and fragrant herbs began to fill the house, weaving through every corner and promising not just nourishment, but love itself. Quang, observing from the doorway, felt a warmth that had nothing to do with the summer sun outside. It radiated from the very presence of his family, tangible and reassuring. His mother, ever vigilant in her attention to detail, made sure everything was perfect. The table was set with care, the plates and glasses neatly arranged, and a small vase of fresh flowers added a touch of beauty that spoke to her quiet thoughtfulness. She moved with a grace that belied the worry she had carried for weeks, her eyes glimmering with relief every time she glanced at Quang. Linda, sensing the mix of excitement and lingering apprehension in him, offered a gentle smile, her presence calm yet filled with a subtle energy that seemed to encourage him to relax, to allow himself to truly enjoy this moment. The house, usually filled with the rush of daily life, felt suspended in time, as if it had paused just to honor this simple yet profound reunion. When the family finally gathered around the table, the room seemed to hum with life. Conversations flowed easily, laughter punctuated stories of past mishaps and little victories, and for a while, the shadows of illness and fear were nowhere to be found. Quang looked around the table, his heart swelling with gratitude, as he realized how much he had missed these small, intimate moments. The clinking of utensils, the aroma of a favorite dish, the gentle teasing and warmth of those who loved him most. Every smile, every shared glance seemed amplified in significance, reminding him that recovery was not just about the body, but also about the spirit, nourished by love and connection. As the meal progressed, Quang felt a deep sense of belonging, a reminder of the unspoken bonds that had held him up when he was at his weakest. Linda poured him a cup of tea, the steam curling upwards like a gentle embrace, and his mother reached over to adjust his chair, her touch both tender and protective. In that moment, Quang realized that these gestures, so ordinary in appearance, were extraordinary in meaning. They spoke of care, dedication, and an enduring love that had never wavered, even in the face of uncertainty. The warmth of the home, the shared laughter, and the comforting presence of those he held dear reminded him that recovery was not a solitary journey. It was something celebrated together, a shared triumph of resilience and human connection. By the time the meal came to an end, Quang felt a sense of completeness that went far beyond the relief of his physical recovery. The laughter, the food, and the attentive care of his mother and Linda had filled a space in his heart that illness had left vacant. In those quiet, joyful moments, he understood more clearly than ever that life's most precious treasures were not the things that could be measured or bought, but the people who stood by him, the laughter that healed wounds no medicine could touch, and the love that made every challenge worth enduring. The warmth of the evening settled around him like a protective cloak, and Quang knew with unwavering certainty that he would never take these moments for granted again. As the last traces of their family meal settled into the quiet hum of the evening, Quang leaned back in his chair and allowed himself to simply be present. The hospital's cold, sterile walls were a distant memory, replaced by the warmth of the home he had always taken for granted, but now saw with fresh eyes. He watched his mother carefully clearing plates, her movements graceful yet deliberate, a rhythm that spoke of years spent caring for those she loved. Across the room, Linda tidied the table with a smile that carried both pride and relief, her laughter lingering like a gentle echo in the air. In that moment, Quang felt a wave of gratitude so profound it almost brought tears to his eyes. These were not just ordinary acts of care, they were expressions of unwavering love, constant support, and an unspoken promise that he would never walk alone again. Quang's gaze drifted between the two women who had become the anchors of his world. His mother, whose strength had never faltered even in the darkest days, had been a quiet sentinel over his recovery. Her sleepless nights, the whispered prayers, and the gentle reminders to care for himself had been the unseen scaffolding supporting his fragile spirit. And Linda, with her steady presence, her laughter that seemed to chase away every lingering worry, had reminded him that life, even in its most challenging moments, could still hold joy, tenderness, and moments of pure connection. The realization struck him with unexpected clarity. These two women were not just family, they were indispensable threads woven into the very fabric of his existence. Without them, the world would feel impossibly vast and cold. With them, even the most daunting challenges seemed conquerable. A gentle hush fell over the room as Quang's mother finally sank into her chair and Linda joined her with a soft sigh of contentment. Quang felt a sudden, overwhelming need to speak, to articulate the emotions that had swelled within him but had remained unspoken for so long. I don't think I could have come this far without you, he began, his voice catching slightly. Both women turned to him, eyes wide and attentive, sensing the gravity in his tone. You've both been with me through everything. The fear, the pain, the uncertainty. I never fully realized how much you mean to me, how much your presence has shaped my strength, my hope, and my will to keep moving forward. I can honestly say that without you, I don't know where I would be. Linda reached out and gently placed a hand on his arm, while his mother brushed a stray lock of hair from his forehead. Their eyes held a quiet understanding, a silent affirmation of the bond that needed no words to be felt. In that embrace, Quang understood that life's true victories were not measured by medical reports or the healing of a body alone, but by the love, loyalty, and presence of those who refuse to let you face the storm by yourself. The evening, once a simple celebration of his physical recovery, had transformed into a profound recognition of what truly mattered: family, love, and the people who made every step of life meaningful. As he leaned back, finally allowing himself to relax fully, Quang felt a serenity that he had not known in months. The lingering fear, the sharp memories of hospital walls, and the uncertainty of recovery were all tempered by a deep, abiding gratitude. In that moment, he knew with unwavering certainty that his life had been irrevocably enriched by the steadfast love of his mother and the gentle strength of Linda. They were not just companions on his journey, they were the essence of home, the heartbeat of his days, and the light guiding him forward. With a quiet smile, he whispered to himself, "I will never take this for granted. You two, you are my everything." And in that room, Filled with warmth, laughter, and the lingering aroma of home-cooked meals, Quang felt a profound peace, knowing that no matter what challenges lay ahead, he would face them with the two most important people by his side, his mother and Linda, the heart and soul of his life.